Hello everybody, welcome to judycentral.com online classes for law exams. So today I will be dealing with you the most important questions on Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 for your upcoming UPSC Public Prosecutor exam. So in this session I will be discussing with you the important questions as well as the most important cases which are expected for this year Public Prosecutors exam. So let us see. So this is the first question. The Prevention of Corruption Amendment Act 2018 came into force on this is 26th of July 2018. Second, the term undue advantage has been defined under which section? This is section 2 clause D. Gratification is not limited to pecuniary gratification or to gratification estimable in many. So the definition of gratification is given under the definition of undue advantage, which is defined under section 2 clause D. Under section 4 of the act, after expiry of 2 years, the trial may be extended till how many years? This is 4 years in aggregate but not exceeding 6 months at a time. Fourth, a public servant asks a person P to give him an amount of 5,000 rupees to process his routine ration card application on time. As is guilty of an offence under which section? So this is section 7, offence relating to public servant being bribed, and the punishment prescribed is minimum 3 to 7 years with fine. Then question number 5, a person P gives a public servant as an amount of 10,000 rupees to ensure that he is granted a license over all other bidders. P is guilty of an offence under which section? So this is actually section 8, which deals with offence relating to bribing of a public servant, and the punishment is the minimum and the maximum punishment is 7 years or with fine or with both. Then question number 6, the provision of section 8 shall not apply to a person if he is so compelled and report the matter within 7 days of giving such from the date of giving such undue advantage to the law enforcement authority. Then 7, criminal misconduct by a public servant is defined under which section? This is section 13 of the act. Question number 8, the newly inserted section 17A deals with inquiry or investigation of offences relatable to recommendations made or decision taken by public servant in discharge of official functions or duties. So the newly inserted section 17A deals with the same inquiry or investigation relatable to recommendation made or decision taken by the public servant in discharge of official functions or duties. Question number 9. The approval under section 17A is not necessary when cases involving arrest a person on the spot on the charge of accepting or attempting to accept any undue advantage. So the term used is undue advantage, not accepting or attempting to accept money. Question number 10. Section 18A, which deals with attachment and forfeiture of property, was added by 2018 amendment by which chapter of the act? This is actually chapter 4A. 11. The attachment under section 18A shall be made in accordance with Criminal Law Amendment Ordinance 1944, and this has been given under section 18A. 12. Presumption where public servant accepts any undue advantage has been given under which section? So this provision has been given under section 20 of the act, and according to this provision, unless the contrary is proved, if on the face of it, if it is shown that the person has accepted or attempted to accept any undue advantage, then the court presumes that the person has accepted or attempted to accept any undue advantage. 13. Who has the power to make rules under section 29A of the act? This is central government. Question number 14. Which court has the power of appeal and revision in respect of order or decision made by special judge under the act? So the power of appeal and revision lies with the High Court. 15. Under section 17, who has the power to investigate the offences under the act? So this is actually, there are 3 circumstances under which the offence can be investigated under section 17. In the case of Delhi Special Police establishment of an inspector of police, then second in the metropolitan area of an assistant commissioner of police, and third elsewhere of a deputy superintendent of police or a police officer of equivalent rank. So these are the investigating officer who are actually empowered to conduct investigation under section 17. So, question number 16. Whoever commits an offence under section 13 clause 1 subclause A of the act shall be punishable under which section of the act? So he shall be punishable under section 15, and the punishment is the minimum 3 to 7 years. Then yes, question number 17. Power to try summarily is given in, so it is actually given in section 262 to 265 of CRPC and section 6 of the act. So under section 6 of the act, the magistrate, sorry, not the magistrate, the special judge can try any person in a summary trial as is provided under sections C262 to C265 of CRPC. According to section 21 of the act, who is a competent witness? This is the accused person. 19. From which sentence appeal shall not lie against the order of the special judge of the act? So this is actually imprisonment not exceeding 1 month and a fine not exceeding 2,000 rupees. So suppose if the special judge passes a sentence not exceeding 1 month and fine not exceeding 2,000 rupees, then the accused cannot challenge the said order. Then important case laws. Now we'll deal with the most important case laws of Prevention of Corruption Act. A contractor is not a public servant is held in which case? So this is A.R. Puri versus State 1980s case. Second, the expression person in the pay of the government explained it. This is M. Karunanidhi versus Union of India, in which it is decided that special judges are appointed for a particular area. So in which case is it decided that special judges are appointed for a particular area? It has been decided in Diwan Chand versus State. In which case it has been held that magistrate cannot take cognizance in offences specified in section 3 clause 1 of the act. So this has been given in the case of People Patriotic Front New Delhi versus KK Billa. So under section 3 clause 1, a person who is or has been a session judge or an additional session judge or an assistant session judge can take cognizance of the office as a special judge, but a magistrate is not empowered to do so. Question number 5. In which case it is decided that court of a special judge is a court of original jurisdiction. So this has been decided in the case of this a very famous case A.R. Antulle versus R.S. Naik 1984, decided in the year 1984. 6. A mere demand or solicitation amounts to an offence. It was held in Mubarak Ali versus State. 7. An act does not cease to become official act even if it doesn't come within the scope of the functions of office. So this has been held in the case of Dr. V. Sebastian versus State. 8. It is not necessary that the act for which the bribe is given be actually performed. That means even an attempt is also enough. This has been held in the case of Inder Dayal Das Advani versus State of Bombay. 9th, once the premise is established, the inference to be drawn is that the said gratification was accepted as a motive or reward for doing or forbearing to do any official act. So this was held in the case of Madhukar Bhaskar Rao versus State of Maharashtra. 10. The petitioner demanded rupees 50,000 as illegal gratification from PW1. So this is the facts of the case. Now I am telling you, the petitioner demanded rupees 50,000 as illegal gratification from PW1. That means witness number 1, petitioner witness number 1, and also threatened that if this amount is not paid, he would seize the Arak depot and its machinery for supplying the Arak in polythene sachets without permission. The petitioner was caught with the amount of rupees 50,000 and his hands 2 turned pink on being dipped in sodium carbonate solution. The petitioner was held guilty under section 7 in the case of, the fact of the case has been taken from D. Hanumanta Rao versus State of Andhra Pradesh. Very important case. Is decided in their 1992 case. Question number 11. Demand of illegal gratification is sine qua non, that is mandatory to constitute the offence under the act. Mere recovery of currency notes are not enough. That means illegal gratification is actually necessary. Mere recovery of the currency notes are not enough. So this has been held in the case of C.M. Sharma versus State of Andhra Pradesh 2010 case. 12. The receipt of gratification as a motive or reward for the purpose of inducing the public servant by corrupt or illegal means will complete the offence. Held in the case of Diwan alias Vasudevan versus State. 13. There is no limit as to number of instances to make out the factum of habit was held in. That means this case actually deals with habitual offenders. So there is actually no number of limitation of the habit of the person who takes bribe or who is in continuing nature of taking bribe. So this has been held in the case of Vishwa Bhushan Naik versus State. 14. When respondent was discharged due to lack of proper sanction, principles of double jeopardy could not apply and there is no bar for filing fresh charge sheet after obtaining valid sanction for prosecution. That means if a person is discharged due to lack of proper sanction, so that discharge cannot act as a double jeopardy if a fresh charge sheet is filed with a proper sanction. So this has been held in the case of State of Mizoram versus Dr. C. Sanghanghina LNIND 2018. This is a latest case. 15. The co-accused was held for abatement of crime under the act in the case of. So for abatement of crime, even a co-accused could be held. And this has been held in the case of Ram Bhav versus State of Maharashtra 2001 case. 16. Dishonest intention is essence of offence under section 13 of the act was held in the case of. It was held in the case of State of Madhya Pradesh versus Shambhu Dayal Nagar 2006 case. Goods purchased on credit doesn't amount to obtaining a thing without consideration. So the term consideration is used under section 11, where a public person can be held liable for obtaining any undue advantage without consideration. So this has been held in the case of Delhi administration versus S.N. Khoshla. 18. Travelling allowance is not a source of income to the government servants but only a compensation to meet his expenses. Held in the case of. It was held in the case of R. Janaki Ram versus State, represented by Inspector of Police CBI SPE Madras. Question number 19. To substantiate a charge under section 13, the prosecution must prove the following ingredients. So what are the ingredients that it needs to prove? Namely, the prosecution must prove that the accused is a public servant. Then the nature and extent of the pecuniary resources or property which are found in his possession. Third, it must be proved as to what were his known sources of income that is known to the prosecution, and it must prove quite objectively that the sources or property found in possession of the accused were disproportionate to his known sources of income. So to prosecute a public servant under section 13, that means criminal misconduct, these 4 ingredients needs to be proved. The prosecution has to prove that the property which has been recovered from the possession of the public servant is actually disproportionate to his known sources of income. So the ingredients were laid down in the case of. So the case is M. Krishna Reddy versus State Deputy Superintendent of Police, Hyderabad. 20. Non-receiving bribe money and absence from spot cannot be said to be material when the prosecution tried to correct the appellant with the offence on the basis of certain paper allegedly written by him. So non-receiving of bribe money and absence from spot is actually not necessary if it can be shown that the appellant has actually perpetuated the offence by writing something which actually shows his intention to obtain the undue advantage. So it has been held in the case of Keshav Dutt versus State of Haryana. 21. The prosecution has to establish that the pecuniary assets acquired by the public servant are disproportionately larger than his known sources of income. Thereafter, accused, the public servant has to account for such excesses. Offence becomes complete on the failure of the public servant to account and explain such excess. So a duty has been cast on the prosecution to establish that the public servant has actually acquired the undue advantage which is disproportionate to his known sources of income, and it has been held in the case of Ashok Sharing Bhutia versus State of Sikkim. 22. The case is pending before court since long time is not a special ground for reducing the minimum sentence. This has been held in the case of Madhukar Bhaskar Rao versus State of Maharashtra. 23. When the authority of a person to carry out investigation is questioned on the ground that he did not fulfill the statutory requirements laid down thereof in terms of the second proviso, the burden undoubtedly was on the prosecution to prove the same. This has been held in the case of State Inspector of Police Visakhapatnam versus Surya Sankaram Curry 2006. I hope you understood. Like suppose if if a person who has carried out the investigation, it is shown that he is not empowered to carry out the investigation as he doesn't fulfill the statutory requirements, then actually the burden is on that person who has carried out the investigation to show that he has the authority to carry out the investigation. 24. The respondent was a station officer of police station and was promoted as deputy superintendent of police. While digging some land, 20 gold bricks were found by some persons which they failed to deposit with the authorities, but the respondent seized the gold bricks on information received but misappropriated the gold bricks. The investigation was carried out, but the respondent challenged the legality of the investigation by an officer junior in rank to him because the person who was actually involved in the misconduct was to the rank of deputy superintendent of police, and the investigation was carried out by an inspector. It was held that the investigation was not vitiated as the investigation has been authorized by the state government as contemplated by Section 17. So, by under Section 17, it has been given that even a police officer in the rank of inspector of police can also carry out the investigation, and this has been held in the case of State of UP versus Surinder Pal Singh. 25. Sanction is a prerequisite to conduct investigation. So this has been held in the case of there are two cases. H.S. Gotla versus State 2001 case and Vishnu Kondari Jadhav versus State of Maharashtra. So this is actually mandatory for the court to take cognizance of any offence. It has to make sure that the authorities which are prosecuting the public servant are having the sanction, that means are having the permission to conduct the prosecution. Sanction, Section 19 of the Act. Now we will start with the sanction, and it is given under Section 19, where the alleged misconduct is in some different capacity than the one which is held at the time of taking cognizance. There will be no necessity to take sanction. It has been held in the case of L. Narayana Swamy versus State of Karnataka. This is a 2016 latest case. 27. Grant or refusal of sanction must be preceded by application in mind on the part of the appropriate authority. If the accused can demonstrate such order to be suffering from non-application of mind, the same may be called in question before a competent court of law. So it means the grant or refusal of sanction must be made with the due application of mind. And if it is shown that the grant or refusal of sanction is taken in a hasty manner, then that non-application of mind can be challenged before a competent court of law to negate the prosecution against the public servant. So this has been held in the case of Ramesh Lal Jain versus Naginder Singh Rana 2006 case. 28. Provision prohibiting grant of stay admits no exception. So under Section 19, it has been given that only under exceptional circumstances only stay can be granted. So provision prohibiting grant of stay admits no exception. So it actually admits no exception, and it has been given in the case of Satya Narayan Sharma versus State of Rajasthan 2001 case. 29. Sanction granted by an officer not competent to do so is a nullity. It has been held in the case of State Inspector of Police Visakhapatnam versus Surya Sankaram Curry 2006 case. As per Section 19 of the Act, the authority who is competent to remove the person concerned is competent to grant sanction. So these are the very important points regarding sanction. First of all, a sanction has been granted by an officer who has the authority to do so, and if he doesn't have the authority, then it's a nullity. That means it doesn't have any validity in the eyes of law. And also who can actually issue sanction, only those persons who are competent to grant sanction. And it has been held in the case of Madhya Pradesh versus Pradeep Kumar Gupta. Now Section 20, presumption, most important section. I mean one of the most important section in which the presumption of the guilt of a person is actually taken by the court while taking cognizance of the offence. Once the amount is found in the possession of the accused, the burden shifts on him to explain the circumstances to prove his innocence as contemplated under Section 20 of the Act. So suppose if from the possession of any public servant, any property which is actually not known to his it is unknown to his sources of income or is disproportionate to his known sources of income. If it is recovered, then the burden actually shifts on that person to prove that he is innocent. And this has been held in the case of B. Hanumant Rao versus State of Andhra Pradesh. 32. The accused is guilty of the offence under section 13 of the Act if presumption under section 20 is non-rebutted. So suppose if the presumption, as the court has the power to presume that person is guilty, but that accused person has the right to rebut the same. And if he fails to rebut the same, that means he is guilty of the offence under section 30. So this has been held in the case of M. Sundaramurthy versus State of Tamil Nadu. 33. It cannot be said that the presumption under section 20 applies only after a charge is framed against the accused. The presumption is applicable also at the stage when the court is considering the question whether a charge should be framed or not. That means presumption is actually taken even in the beginning of the case. When the court is considering under section 245 clause 1 of CRPC whether any case has been made out against the accused which if rebutted would warrant his conviction, it cannot brush aside the presumption under section 20 RS 9 versus A.R. Antula. This is the case, most important case. So presumption is actually taken at the very first instance and the court shall not wait for the charges to be framed. 34. The term shall be presumed means that the court is bound to take the fact as proved until evidence is adduced to disprove it, and the party interested in disproving it must produce such evidence if he can. So this has been held in the case of Public Prosecutor versus A. Thomas 1959. So shall be presumed means what? Court is bound to take the fact as proved until evidence is adduced is given to disprove the same. And the last question is the word gratification must be understood to mean any payment for giving satisfaction, any payment. Gratification means any payment for giving satisfaction to public servant who received it. And this has been held in the case of Madhukar Bhaskar Rao Joshi versus State of Maharashtra 2001. So this is the session for today and I hope you all have liked it. Do not forget to give a like, share, subscribe to the channel if you do not want to miss such updates in future. So with this note, I am signing off. Have a great day.